Christmas had always been my favorite holiday, not because of the gifts but because it was the one time each year when everyone slowed down enough to be together. My parents decorated the house exactly the same way every December. My mother baked enough cookies to feed the entire neighborhood, and my father insisted on playing the same old holiday songs that had become part of our family tradition. No matter how busy life became, Christmas always felt familiar, comforting, and predictable. That was why I never expected one sentence to change the entire atmosphere of the day. A week before Christmas, my father gathered my sister and me in the living room while he finished wrapping presents. This year, he announced, we're keeping things simple. My younger sister, Sophie, looked disappointed. What do you mean? He smiled. No expensive gifts this Christmas. Let's focus on spending time together instead. I actually appreciated the idea. Money had been tight for everyone, and I knew my parents had been trying to cut unnecessary expenses. I wasn't expecting anything extravagant. I bought thoughtful but affordable presents for everyone, wrapped them carefully, and looked forward to the holiday without giving it another thought. Christmas morning arrived with fresh snow covering the neighborhood. The fireplace crackled softly while everyone gathered around the tree holding cups of hot chocolate. My mother handed out presents one by one, and the room filled with laughter as wrapping paper slowly covered the floor. I opened a warm sweater from my parents along with a hardcover book by my favorite author. Both gifts were thoughtful, and I genuinely appreciated them. Then it was Sophie's turn. Dad carried over a much larger stack of boxes. The first package revealed the newest iPhone. Sophie's eyes widened. No way. She jumped from the couch and hugged him. Everyone applauded. I smiled too, although I quietly remembered his speech about keeping things simple. The next box contained a designer handbag that I recognized immediately because I'd seen it displayed in a store window downtown. It probably cost more than my monthly rent. Before anyone could recover from that surprise, Dad handed her one final small velvet box. Inside rested a delicate diamond bracelet that sparkled every time it caught the glow of the Christmas lights. Sophie's face lit up with excitement. Oh my gosh. She threw her arms around both of our parents. I love you. The room buzzed with compliments while relatives admired the jewelry. I remained silent, not because I wanted expensive presents, but because I couldn't understand what had happened to the promise. Dad noticed my expression. What? I forced a smile. Nothing. He studied me for a moment before returning to the celebration. The rest of the morning felt strangely different. I laughed when everyone laughed. I thanked people for my gifts. I helped clean the kitchen after breakfast. Yet a quiet question stayed in the back of my mind. Why had the rule applied only to me? That afternoon I volunteered to wash the dishes while everyone else watched a holiday movie. My grandmother quietly joined me in the kitchen. You've been awfully quiet. I'm fine. She smiled gently. You've had that exact expression since you were 10 years old. I laughed despite myself. I just don't understand something. She waited patiently. Dad said no expensive gifts. She nodded. I know. So why? I stopped. Grandma dried another plate before answering. Have you ever considered asking instead of assuming? That evening, after dinner, I found Dad alone on the back porch watching snow fall across the yard. I stepped outside. Can we talk? He looked surprised. Of course. I hesitated. I'm grateful for everything you gave me. I know. But I'm confused. He stayed silent. You said we weren't doing expensive gifts. His shoulders dropped slightly. I was wondering when you'd ask. So? He looked across the snowy yard before speaking. I handled this badly. I waited. Sophie's engagement fell apart 3 months ago. I blinked. What? She didn't tell many people. I stared at him. I had no idea. She asked us not to. He sighed deeply. She'd already ordered the phone before everything happened. She couldn't afford to finish paying for it. So I paid the remaining balance. And the purse? Your mother bought it months ago when it went on sale. The bracelet? He smiled sadly. That belonged to your grandmother. I frowned. I thought it was new. No, it was cleaned and placed in a new box. Everything suddenly looked different. Dad continued quietly. We weren't trying to choose favorites. It felt that way. I know. He rubbed his forehead. I should have explained that some things had already been arranged before I made that announcement. I remained quiet, and honestly. He admitted, I thought you'd understand because you've never cared much about expensive gifts. I don't. Then what upset you? I answered honestly. It wasn't the presents. He looked at me. It was believing I mattered less. His expression immediately softened. You never mattered less. I know that now. He placed a hand on my shoulder. I forget sometimes that fairness isn't only about what people receive. I smiled faintly. It's also about what people understand. He nodded. Exactly. The following morning, before I left for home, Sophie knocked on the guest room door. I heard you talk to Dad. I nodded. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize. I do. She looked down. I wanted to tell you about the engagement. You didn't have to. I know. But maybe if I had, yesterday wouldn't have felt so strange. I hugged her. I'm just glad you're okay. She smiled. I'm getting there. As I drove home through the quiet snow-covered streets, I kept thinking about how easily misunderstandings grow when important conversations never happen. From the outside, it had looked like favoritism wrapped in shiny paper and placed beneath a Christmas tree. In reality, the gifts carried stories no one else had been allowed to know. That holiday taught me something I have never forgotten. The greatest misunderstandings often begin not with selfishness or unfairness but with silence. People rarely see the full picture hidden behind someone else's choices, and assumptions can sometimes feel far more convincing than the truth. Since then, whenever life presents me with something that seems painfully unfair, I try to remember that there may be an unseen chapter missing from the story, one capable of changing everything once it is finally revealed.